Could any of the new mutants appear in Marvel Contest of Champions? Hello everybody, this is going to be one of those deep dive videos looking at potential champions that could be seen in the future. I thought this would be a very good topic to go over as I went to see the film at the weekend, and I will be doing a review on that movie which will be out later on today. But there's 3 characters which are still not in Marvel Contest of Champions and a part of the New Mutants. More the film side of things. That's Cannonball, Mirage, or, well, let's call her Daniela Moonstar, and finally Wolfsbane. The first 3 in question are the 3 characters you can see at the front of the grouping of 5. With on the left Cannonball, centre is Moonstar, and to the right is Maisie Williams' character, which is Wolfsbane. All 3 characters possess very unusual powers, not, I would say, 100% different than a lot of stuff that we've got in game at the moment, with one being sort of an anamorph that can change into an animal as Wolfsbane, and then you've got one that kind of sorts out people's deepest fears in Mirage, creating things that are illusions but can be used to manipulate certain situations and as well people or other mutants, and Cannonball being more of a, I don't know, thermal bomb that just wants to blow up. You know, all 3 have similar things that are kind of in game, or we've seen similar things, but let's have a look at them in more detail. Right, let's begin with Wolfsbane, or if I'm saying this right, Rain Sinclair, who was born in the North Highlands of Ullapool in Scotland and was delivered by Dr. Moira McTaggart. That name rings a bell with anybody that knows Charles Xavier, who happened to live locally. Rain's mother was a local sex worker. You've got to make ends meet, and would never know her as she died in childbirth. It turns out the father was a local minister called Reverend Craig, who raised Rain as an orphan without revealing he was her father from an illicit relationship. Reverend Craig's treatment of Rain during her first 14 years was harsh, instilling a strict religious and traditional Catholic moral code into her from a young age to compensate for his own lapse in character, which led to her conception. When Rain has first developed her powers of lynanthropy, that's when you change into a werewolf. She was mistaken for a werewolf, and a group of terrified religious locals believed that she had been possessed by the devil, and led by Reverend Craig, they chased Rain across the Scottish Highlands. At the end of the chase, Rain fell unconscious and reverted to her naked human form at the feet of Dr. McTaggart, who saved her from the mob. Dr. McTaggart became a surrogate mother to the young mutant and looked after her and took her into her protection. Then Rain went to America and was schooled by Professor Charles Xavier. The running side of things into the forest, and as well the treatment of Reverend Craig, is actually alluded to in the New Mutants film, and well worth a watch. Now, if you're looking for a character with a lot of punch to it, unfortunately this character would not have that. I was hoping to see something like maybe on Tigra's level, especially as something that's ferocious, but it is not the case. The character can increase its size, so she can be a bigger or massive version of a lichen or werewolf, however you want to describe it. There's different things like claws, healing factor, all the necessaries when it comes to having a character that is strong, and especially one that can be an anamorph, but anamorph to a sense of being a larger type of wolf. There have been times where she's possessed some more extreme powers with light force, so that's been quite cool, but it hasn't been something that I would largely say Command would look to put into game, and would be more of something that could change itself into a giant wolf. Maybe there's a wolf form that would be there, but as well how Command would allude to it and some of the other abilities would be difficult. There are things when it comes to the bleeds that could be given from the claws, and as well something where the character can actually split herself into 5 other wolves. So that's weird to actually create a pack of wolves, but that's still quite cool. There would still be the idea of regeneration, bleed effects that could be done, and I would rate it for ferocity, but on a power index scale she is not really up there, but I'd like to see the character. And now on to Cannonball. Samuel Zachary Guthrie was the eldest son of a large farming family. On the 17th of October, Sam attempted to help out his family by working in a coal mine after his father had died there inhaling coal dust. Right on the first day, Sam and his father's friend Lewis were trapped in a cave-in. In his panic, Sam manifested his mutation blasting powers, which allowed him and Lewis to escape the collapse. The incident led to Sam to be discovered by Donald Pierce, who recruited him in a plot to attack a young group of mutants. Professor Xavier, founder of the X-Men, had assembled Sam eventually and came to his senses and turned him against Pierce. Professor Xavier saw the good inside Sam and invited him to join in his New Mutants. Cannonball left his family to join the team. Funnily enough, this actually differs from the story that's presented in the New Mutants. I won't spoil it, but it is a very different origin that they present, and as well the narrative as to why he's in the Institute that we see in the movie. And now on to his powers. So he has a thermochemical energy field propulsion. In the movie, blasts all around the place, and it's quite comical at times, but also he can do an immense amount of damage. His durability is incredibly high, which again is alluded to slightly in the film. Also, the extent of what damage he can do is pretty much there. But there's not something of a great difference to his powers, say, with other champions and other characters that do something or have something similar with blasts. We've got Bishop that does something of a blast, but I'd say it's more like a Bishop meets Hyperion in the way that this thermochemical energy field, I wouldn't say propulsion side of things, but definitely on that thermochemical energy side of things. Either way, I'm sure that we'll have a great character if he was put into game, and as well the strength level being relatively good. Could definitely see him being valuable and have a good comparison with the likes of Havoc and as well the blasts of Cyclops. So yeah, it would be cool to see how this character would act in game, but I would say that this would be more similar to Havoc and Cyclops than it would be to anything else. And now on to Moonstar. She was a Native American of the, I'm probably going to butcher this, but the Cheyenne Nation. Moonstar's mutant power emerged at puberty, but she could not control her ability to create visible images of people's greatest fears. Manifesting the images of unexpected moments alienated her from everyone in her community, except for her parents, William and Peg Lone Star, and her grandfather, the chief and shaman Black Eagle. One night, Danny created a symbolic vision of her parents' death. Shortly thereafter, Danny's parents disappeared during a trip to the mountains. Moonstar believed them to have been killed, and her dreams were haunted thereafter by a vision of a demonic bear whom she believed to be responsible for their deaths. In fact, Moonstar's parents have been transformed into the demonic bear by an as yet unrevealed cause. The bear intended to work the same transformation upon Moonstar, but the spell of the Black Eagle kept the demonic bear away from her. Now again, this slightly differs from what is presented in the movie as a narrative as to why Danielle, or Danny, is actually at the facility, what are the events that preceded it, and where it is going with the story structure. And do bear in mind, I will have a full review explaining this, a spoiler free and then a spoiler version that talks about the film. Moonstar is actually a very interesting character to be linked and paired with something in MCOC. There's links to the Valkyries and as well Hela, so there's this Asgard link from Power Transference, which is pretty cool. Even to go as far as to say there's telepathy and other types of powers which could be really, really good for the game. It is so lengthy, and I will not be reading so much of this, but there's loads of things like there's neural arrows, animal empathy, death sense, resist death, things that really come with a lot of mental power, but as well manipulating that mental power, which again is alluded to in the film, where you're looking at characters that are able to, but like the likes of Magic, and as well the likes of Phoenix, Jean Grey, where they're able to do some really devastating things, and even Scarlet Witch, from a point of what they can do with energy projection, with dreams, with illusions and things like that, can really be something quite unique that can be put into Marvel Contest of Champions. Now this really boils down to how inventive Kabam can be when it comes to putting these characters in. Wolfsbane and Cannonball are two characters that are pretty cool to be put in, but if they were able to put in Moonstar in some sort of capacity and as well expand the Asgard or Hela and Valkyrie and put in Valkyrie and have this kind of really cool synergy and link, could be something of a future padding of the Asgards, and as well have something of a better tie with the Mutants. There will come a point, I think in the next month, where players will be going, look, we've got too many mutants in game, so the idea of putting in something like this maybe is like a year off, rather than saying, hey, let's put in a couple more mutants, that's going to go down well. And especially with these being a little bit obscure, but at the same time they have, all three of them have been put in a film, so therefore it gives them an opportunity to go, hey, well they've been in films, so we could put them in the game. More so I think for Moonstar, if you put in things like the telepathy, I'm not saying you can, that's very difficult to put in game, but the concept of it, if there's things like that could create inverted controls. You could do a lot of things when it comes to energy blasts, and especially with those type of arrows that the character has. The character possesses a sword, so you could put bleeds, but I think it would be more of a case of doing some kind of like a mental thing, especially if you're kind of putting a debuff on them, like creating a new debuff like Rupture was this year, but creating a new debuff that is something of a I don't know what to really call it. You could call it a neural breakdown. Not like a neurotoxin, but definitely like a neural debuff of some kind. A neural rupture, like the Dark Tide debuffs, or something created that is more associated with this character's devastating abilities. So yeah, I really would be up for some of these new mutants being put into Marvel Contest of Champions. Yeah, just a reminder, my review of the New Mutants will be out later on today, so probably about 3 PM GMT. But what are your thoughts? Put it in the comments section. Cannonball, Wolfsbane and Moonstar. Which of these characters would you like to see from the film The New Mutants? And as well, what powers do you think they should have? And finally, don't forget to check out some fresh content up there, some other content over the left hand side, some stuff down here. And I'll see you later on for the live stream over on twitch.tv/RichTheMan live. See ya.